My 31-year-old self and my husband, 35-year-old T, are currently not talking to his 39-year-old brother K and his 40-year-old wife J. It's me, E, my husband T, his brother K, and K's wife J. T and K also have two more siblings, but they are not really relevant here, so I will not mention them. My husband and I have been together for 6 years now, and we have a son and a house together. T and K only share a mother. They have different fathers. Since K's biological father did not want anything to do with him, my husband's father, my father-in-law, took him in as his own. The other two siblings also only share a mother with T and K. J moved here from Asia about 5 years ago. That was the first time anyone in the family actually met her. She and I got along fine in the beginning. Then something happened. We bought a house, and T's dad loaned us money so we could buy it, and J stopped talking to us then. She removed herself from the family chat and ignored T and me whenever we would hang out. It was intense, and I felt really bad not knowing or understanding why someone would just up and hate me. J told her husband K that I had looked at her strangely 6 months prior, and that is why she is mad now. It's strange how she got mad 6 months later, just as we got money for our house. After about 1 to 2 years of her ignoring us, she just started talking to us again, like nothing happened. She would even hug us. All was fine until last summer. We were all at my father-in-law's country house, and everything was going well. Then my father-in-law, my husband, our son, and I went into town to get more food. On our way back to the house, we met K and J in their car. K said he was driving J home. It's an hour home and an hour back to the house, so he drove her home and spent the night. No one understood why J wanted to go home. Neither did K when he drove her there. The next day, I was told that J was mad at me. Why? Because she felt I did not clean up after myself. She meant that I did not clean the kitchen and other shared areas. However, my husband and I had an agreement. He did the cleaning and cooking for us while I took care of our 3-year-old. He could not be left alone since the house was close to a lake. So on the nights it was our turn to cook and clean for everyone, he did both tasks while I tended to our son. She also lied to Kay, saying that she tried to talk to me about it, and I just ignored her. So now we are ignored by her again, and this has been going on for a year. She did not even come to Christmas last year. That is how hard she is ignoring us. Kay and the other siblings came but did not bring food and hardly any gifts. So we bought everyone gifts, paid for the food, cooked the food, and invited everyone to our house. Looking back at it, it's probably because they all wanted to punish me, since Kay thinks I just ignored his wife that summer and has been telling other family members about it. The last time I met her was in January of this year. She cooked at my father-in-law's house, and he invited us. I asked how the food was made because it was so good, and she ignored me. Her husband Kay asked her how the food was made for me, and she just said, blah blah, and ignored both me and her own husband. After this, I went into the family chat, expressing how she had been treating me and my husband, how we tried to be nice, and how this is not acceptable to me. She cannot just get mad over something and then ignore us instead of at least telling us what is wrong. After that, I asked for space and left the chat. Since then, the family has been divided. K stands with his awful wife, and T is in no contact with his own brother, who doesn't even care. I called my mother-in-law to ask for help, and she was like, yeah, we gotta fix this, and then I haven't heard from her in 6 months. Mind you, I called this woman crying and begging for help, telling her that I don't feel like they care at all about me, since they seem fine to let her treat me and my husband like this. Nothing happened. My husband has been trying to talk to his brother, and Kay was all, no, it's fine, she does not hate her. But then she acts like she hates me. I cry often about this. I dread Christmas this year since T and I are united in the fact that we will not be hosting this year or paying for everyone again. I don't know what to do. My husband tried talking to his brother and mother. I tried talking to their mother and sister, but no one is discussing this or trying to help. They just seem to accept that we are no longer a part of their family. It makes me sad for my husband. That's his family turning their backs on him because Kay's wife can't be civil. What do we do? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Why are you trying so hard with someone who isn't interested? The more people you involve, the more powerful this person seems. Why not step back and organize your own Christmas dinners? Invite people you like and have a good celebration without drama. Everyone is happy. There may be shared blood, but it doesn't mean you have to force a relationship that's unwanted. Sometimes you can't fix things, and life is too short to spend crying over people who are unwilling to work on a better bond. Accepting that's how this family is painful, but eventually a way to move on instead of banging your head against a closed door. Comment 2. Your husband's family is his to manage. Drop the rope and stop begging them to love you. If they want you in their lives, they know how to reach you. People who turn on you overnight and make a big show of hating you without ever giving a clear reason for it are really desperate for you to chase them. The more you try to win them over, the more pleasure they take in shooting you down. The only way to stop this game is to refuse to play it. Your sister-in-law can either tell you what her problem is, or she can find another way to amuse herself. You've got to move on and stop wasting your time on this. Now, for the update. A few months have gone by since the big fight at the family barbecue, and I'm still trying to deal with the fallout with Jay. Not gonna lie, it's been a roller coaster of emotions, but I'm hanging in there. So T and I decided not to host Christmas this year, just like we said we would last year. Honestly, we were so fed up with the whole mess that we just wanted to focus on our little family and not deal with any drama. Plus, it saved us a ton of stress and money. Can't believe I even have to explain this, but Christmas is supposed to be a time for joy, not for being ignored by half the family. Kay and Jay are still avoiding us, completely ignoring T and me. It's like we have some sort of invisible barrier around us that they just refuse to cross. We went to this birthday party for T's niece a couple of weeks ago, and it was just as awkward as you can imagine. Jay was right there, acting like I was a ghost. Like, come on, at least acknowledge my existence. It was so obvious that everyone noticed, but no one said a word. T tried to make small talk with Kay about our son's soccer game, but Kay barely even looked at him, just brushed him off like he was a fly buzzing around. I overheard Kay and Jay talking about their holiday plans, and they were straight up excluding us. They were all smiles and laughs, while I was standing there feeling like someone had just dumped a bucket of ice water on my head. It was so frustrating that T and I had to have a serious talk about it. He was like, "What are we even doing? Why are we still worrying about them?" And honestly, he had a point. We have our own family to focus on. After all that, my mother-in-law finally decided to reach out. She invited us over for dinner to discuss the whole family situation. I was kind of surprised, but it was a relief to know that she was still on our side. At dinner, she was pretty straightforward. She told us how disappointed she was in Kay and Jay, which made me feel a little better. I mean, someone had to call them out on their behavior. Then, just as we were getting into it, Kay called. My mother-in-law put him on speaker, and it was super awkward. Kay was trying to play all innocent, but he knew what was going on. Then Jay joined the call, and wow, did she have a lot to say. She was mocking me and my family, saying all kinds of mean stuff. My mother-in-law was not having it, though. She defended me and said I deserved respect, which honestly took me by surprise. I was just sitting there, mouth open, like, did she really just say that? After dinner, T and I decided it was time to take matters into our own hands. We needed to talk to Kay directly about this whole mess, so we invited Kay and Jay over for a family barbecue. Kay accepted the invitation, but Jay was super sketchy about it. She said she'd think about it, but we all know what that meant. The day of the barbecue came, and let me tell you, the vibe was off. I was in the kitchen preparing food, and I could just feel the tension in the air. Jay showed up late, of course, making a grand entrance that she clearly thought was something out of a movie. She walked in, and all eyes were on her. I was like, what is this? A red carpet premiere? I confronted her about her behavior since the whole misunderstanding, but she just deflected. Kay had to step in and tell her to stop being rude, which left everyone in shock. That was a first. Jay then turned the tables and accused me of trying to ruin the family. I couldn't believe my ears. T stood up for me and said we deserve to be treated like family too. It felt good to have him in my corner like that. The BBQ turned into a shouting match, with some family members taking sides. My mother-in-law finally had enough and demanded everyone calm down. She said we needed to discuss this like adults, and I couldn't agree more. Jay stormed off, saying she wouldn't be part of a family that attacks her, and Kay followed reluctantly. I was left feeling vindicated, but also frustrated. I wanted to scream, but I just kept it all in. After they left, my mother-in-law supported us and expressed her disappointment in Kay and Jay's behavior. It felt so good to have her on our side. I mean, she's always been the voice of reason in this whole mess. Slowly but surely, the rest of the family started to rally around us. They realized that the tension was unhealthy for everyone involved. T and I even got a few texts from some family members saying they were sorry for how things had been. It was a small step, but it felt like we were finally moving in the right direction. A few weeks later, Kay sent me a text apologizing for Jay, but he wasn't fully taking responsibility. He said he needed time to talk to her first, which was fair enough. I was just glad he was willing to do something. A few weeks after that, I got an invitation to a family gathering. And guess who was on the guest list? Kay and Jay. I was shocked, but also kind of relieved. At the gathering, Kay did apologize for how Jay treated me. He acknowledged it was wrong, and I could tell he meant it. Jay remained distant but didn't openly confront me, which I took as a small victory. T felt more confident about the family's support and took the lead in planning future gatherings. He even suggested we host the next family barbecue, and I was all for it. Things are still complicated, and to be honest, I'm just really tired of the whole thing. I want to move on and enjoy my family without dealing with all this drama, but I guess it doesn't work that way. I told myself that if something big happened, I'd share it with y'all, so here I am. Am I the idiot for dumping my boyfriend after finding out he was secretly meeting his ex? Hi everyone, thanks for taking the time to read my post. I seriously need help and I am hurting, not sure what to do. I, a 38-year-old female, have been dating my boyfriend, a 33-year-old male, for about 2 years now. He had a long-term relationship for more than 7 years before me, and they broke up 4 years ago. However, they were still living together because he said she doesn't have a job, and they are still good friends and someone important in his life. Now he has asked me to move in with him, and we have been living together for 3 months now. He said he has discussed this with his ex, and that she understands that he wants to live with me now. To my understanding, she also has a new boyfriend. However, I found out that during this time, he has been contacting his ex behind my back through phone calls and messaging. In those messages, I found that he has been updating her about our everyday life, including our intimacy life, which is non-existent, by the way, and they still talk in their own cutesy language like a couple and use cute nicknames. Why does he need to tell her these things? And that I'm not so tidy or neat, even though he told me he doesn't care and it's okay with him. Which one is the truth? I also found out that they said they miss each other's voices and wish he could call more. He only calls once a week on a day he goes to the office, and they have met up for dinner while he lied to me, saying he went out with a coworker. A few days later, I decided to have a talk about us. I asked him what he thinks of us, and he said he is happy and wishes to stay with me like this. Then I asked if there was anything else he wanted to tell me. Have you made any lies at all? I begged him to be honest, and he said no, he has not lied and has never seen her even once. He did admit they have a call a few times. I know he won't ever tell me the truth, so I said let's break up because I don't think we are working out. He cried and begged me not to leave. He said he loves me and wants to stay and live with me. Why? If he misses his ex and they haven't moved on from each other, why not just come back and let me go? I'm really not sure if I should leave or not. He has been kissing me and holding me and doing other nice things since that talk. Why? Now for an update. I decided to leave. Thank you all for the replies. Thank you for helping me make sense of this and opening my eyes to see what kind of person he really is. I'm sorry I can't reply to everyone as I'm preparing to leave. I am still hurting but stronger now. I am really grateful for all of your advice and support. Thank you. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You can be friends with an ex, if you keep it open with your current partner, as it can be sensitive. Your current boyfriend, however, is not doing this. He lies about how they have contact and about how he feels about you. That is not a good foundation to build the relationship on. And now that he realizes he might lose you, he is love-bombing you, which is normally seen in hurtful and toxic relationships. So that might not be a good sign either, even though it could be interpreted that way. All in all, his lies are the main issue. He lies about the ex. What else is he lying about? And what will he lie about in the future? Comment 2. I think you need to break up. For whatever reason, he and his ex are still in love, and something happened that they couldn't get past, so they remained in each other's lives because neither of them could let go. 4 years and no job? I can understand going through some hardship, but if he wanted her out of his life, he would have set a requirement for her to get a job in a certain amount of time, or she would have moved in with a relative until she figured things out. I'm willing to bet that if whatever broke them up got fixed or went away, then they would run back into each other's arms. Now, for the update, I'm back at my parents' house. It's been 6 days since I moved out of my ex's place, and it feels like I'm living out of a suitcase. The first few days were just about getting myself settled in with the basics. My room's a bit of a mess with boxes everywhere, but I'm slowly unpacking and trying to find some sort of routine. Being back in my parents' house is definitely an adjustment. I mean, I didn't think I would be here at 27, but life doesn't always go as planned, you know? The good thing is, my parents have been super supportive, which I really appreciate. They've been offering to help me settle in, but I've been trying to do it on my own. I guess it's my way of proving that I can be independent, even if I'm back in the family home for now. My dad suggested we have a family dinner to cheer me up, since we didn't get to do that much when I was living with my ex. I agreed, because what's better than home-cooked food, right? My mom cooked my favorite dish, lasagna, and we all sat around the table. It's been ages since we've all been at the dinner table together without distractions. My brother Jake brought his wife Rachel, who's pregnant and glowing. I can tell they're excited about the baby, and it's nice to see my brother so happy. During dinner, my dad asked about my plans now that I'm single. I mentioned I'm focusing on myself for now and just taking it easy. Jake nodded in agreement, and I could tell he was being supportive without prying. Rachel talked about how she and Jake had to navigate their relationship too, especially with their age difference. It was a little weird hearing that since they seem so perfect for each other, but I guess every couple has their own stuff to work through. The conversation shifted to how important trust is in a relationship, and I could feel the mood change a bit. My sister Kate, who's usually quiet, suddenly asked if I was okay after everything. I shrugged it off, trying to keep things light. I mean, I didn't want to bring everyone down. After dinner, my mom suggested we all play a board game. It was a nice distraction, and I could tell they were all trying to cheer me up. While playing, my phone buzzed with a message from my ex. I ignored it at first, but then my brother asked if I was okay with him texting me. I got up to pour myself a drink, trying to distract myself from the message. My dad joked about how I should get back out there and date again. Ha! Yeah, right. After the game, my family went to bed, and I finally looked at my ex's text. He said he wanted to talk about what happened between us. I decided to respond, asking when and where he wanted to meet. We agreed to meet at a local diner the next day at noon. As I arrived at the diner, he was already there, looking slightly nervous. We sat down, and he immediately apologized for everything. He said he was confused and didn't know what he wanted. Then he told me he had met up with his ex after I left. He claimed they just talked, but didn't think it would hurt me. And then he told me his ex is pregnant. Like, seriously? I got up, said I couldn't do this anymore, and walked out. Later that night, my mom noticed I was upset and asked what happened. I told her about the pregnancy and his continued connection to his ex. My family was shocked but supportive, reminding me that I deserve better. I closed my bedroom door, feeling the weight of the whole situation. I texted my ex one last time to say it's truly over. This is just so much to deal with right now. Edit. My ex's daughter is due in 2 months. He said they were just talking, but I doubt it. My brother and sister have been supportive, but don't know how to help. I'm not looking to date anyone right now. I want to focus on myself. I'm also considering getting my own place again. Am I the idiot for leaving my boyfriend after he humiliated me in public and gaslighted me about it? We've been together for almost 3 years, living together for over a year. We're on vacation now, and the past few days have been pleasant and enjoyable. For context, we planned this trip because his relative would be in this country and he wanted to meet him. Since his relative landed here, we've met up a couple of times with plans to go to a bar again last night, but it was unconfirmed because his relative was with his friends. He told us to go ahead with our plans, and if the timing matched, we would meet. However, my boyfriend was determined to make it happen, so we had dinner in the same area where his relative would be, and he was constantly asking his relative for updates on his whereabouts so we could meet up again. When we were headed to the bar and club where the relative and friends were, we realized they were checking IDs of everyone, and I did not have mine with me. Actually, my passport and ID had been with me the whole trip except for last night because we went back to the hotel room to freshen up before heading out again. There, I decided to change to a smaller bag and only brought my essentials. I tried to show a photo of my passport, but the bouncer did not accept it. That's when my boyfriend went ballistic and yelled at me, saying I'm annoying and that I did not have the common sense to bring my ID with me. I did not react immediately to his yelling because I was busy thinking of alternatives and solutions for how we could go about this. When I told him, I always brought it out, but only tonight I did not because I changed my bag. He continued yelling and told me to go back to the hotel. I said fine and started to leave, walking to the main road, looking for a way back to the hotel. He followed me all the way, and I told him to go back to where he wanted to go. He said he wanted to see me in a cab first. Anyway, I managed to get a cab and headed back to the hotel. He did not text me to see if I had arrived back at the hotel safely or whether I even went back to the hotel. On top of that, he did not come back to the hotel room until 4 a.m. When I left, it was about 10:30 p.m. This morning, we did not talk to each other, and he just went for breakfast on his own while I started packing my stuff because we were supposed to check out today. He came back from breakfast and continued sleeping with no intention to have a talk or apologize for his behavior. This is not the first time he acted like this, and after our last fight, I had told him very clearly that he needed to watch his emotions and not lash out at me in public. He tried to gaslight me during our last conversation by saying I was upset only because we were in public, and I was bothered by what other people might think about me. He's also a very poor communicator, and not a problem solver, but rather a finger pointer, very quick to blame and push responsibility to me. I think I will propose a breakup when we're back in our country. My question is, if it's serious enough to warrant a breakup. When we're good, it's very good. He's very nice to my family and to me too, 80% of the time. Now for an update. I had a talk with him, which got a bit heated in the middle because he tried to gaslight me again and started bringing up unrelated things to try to blame me. Like 1, saying that I forgot to bring my adapter to charge my phone, which he already knew on the first day of the trip and said I could use his. 2, saying that it rained that day and my shoes were wet, so we couldn't walk to some places. But we did, and I just didn't want to step onto a muddy patch. Otherwise, we went with the itinerary as planned. 3, saying my sister called me while we were in the cab, so I was talking loudly. I was like, firstly, I wasn't talking loudly. Secondly, why am I not allowed to answer a phone call? He said these resulted in his accumulated annoyance and hence his anger release. Note that this is his modus operandi for every fight we have. He would grasp random incidents that were unrelated to push the blame onto me. I said he still didn't apologize for his behavior, and he made me apologize first for forgetting to bring the ID. I think we're done. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He shouldn't lash out at you in public or private. It's not okay to berate you or overreact to small things like this. He's a grown man throwing a tantrum, and it's emotional abuse. I am incredibly forgetful and have forgotten my ID many times over the years, and my now husband has always been calm and understanding every single time. It's not like you held him back from having his fun. He did whatever he wanted at the end of the day. You should have broken up with him a long time ago. Comment 2. How good a person is can't be measured by how they act when everything is going well. It's when things get tough and don't go their way. He got super heated that you couldn't get into a bar right away, and you'd have to go back to your hotel to grab your ID, and then he sulked for hours and hours. Life rarely gets easier or free of bumps, and if he's this bad about little things. Now, for the update. I'm back home from that vacation with my now ex-boyfriend, and I feel like I'm living in a weird sitcom where the main character just isn't funny anymore. Seriously, ever since we got back, it's been all awkward silences and him pretending I'm not there. First off, he was just straight up ignoring me. I felt like a ghost in my own apartment. I know we weren't all lovey-dovey right after we got back, but come on, this was like living with Casper. After a week of this silent treatment, I thought it was time for a serious talk. I mean, I was about to order a pizza and have a serious talk with the delivery guy, because at least he acknowledges my existence, you know? So I decided to confront him. He was chilling on the couch, glued to his phone like it was a life raft. I tried to talk to him, but no response. I swear, I could have announced the end of the world, and he would have just kept scrolling. Finally, he looked up and laughed when I asked him about it. He was all like, "Oh, it's just a minor issue, babe." An issue? More like a full-on disaster. When I pressed him, he snapped. He's like, "You're overreacting. It's nothing." Like, really, dude? Nothing? I'm over here feeling like I'm being sent to the friend zone, like it's a first-class ticket, and he thinks it's nothing. I tried to keep my cool, but I felt like I was talking to a brick wall that had a bad attitude. He just kept dismissing me and calling me dramatic. Honestly, I was about to ask him if he had a degree in dismissive communication, because he was nailing it. And then when I was like, maybe we should break up, he looked surprised, but not shocked, if you know what I mean. He was all like, yeah, maybe it's good for both of us, like he was giving me a coupon for a breakup or something. After that, it was like he suddenly decided to try and be nice. He sent a few texts about the most boring stuff. I'm talking like, hey, I saw a squirrel today. Kind of boring. Then a week later, he invited me to this local food festival. I'm not gonna lie, I was kinda looking forward to it. I mean, who doesn't love food? So, we went to the festival, and at first, he seemed more attentive. He wasn't just looking at his phone for once, but old habits die hard, I guess, because it didn't take long for the annoyances to come back. I wanted to try this new food stand, and he got all huffy about it. Like, dude, it's food, not a life or death situation. On the way back home, he asked what was wrong, because I guess he could feel the distance. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I was feeling like we were in different zip codes. He got all defensive when I said I wasn't sure about us. He's like, I'm trying to make an effort. Yeah, buddy, but it's the same effort from last week, and that was a flop. I tried to get through to him, but he kept interrupting. Then, of course, he got all high and mighty and was like, I always try hard enough. Yeah, if enough means not at all, then sure. When I said I was worried about what others thought if they saw us together, he scoffed. He was all like, I don't care what others think. Oh, really? Because it seems like you care a lot about what I think, just not in a good way. Then he got furious when I wanted to talk about our relationship. He claimed he didn't want our relationship analyzed, which is rich coming from him. The king of overanalysis when it comes to my every move. When we got back home, things escalated. He stormed out, and at that moment, I didn't even care where he went. He returned later, looking calmer but still tense, if that makes any sense. He apologized for leaving, but was adamant that I blew everything out of proportion. I told him I wanted to take a break, like a no-contact, figure-your-life-out kind of break. He rejected it right away, claiming it was unnecessary. He looked a bit shocked, but eventually agreed, saying it was for the best. We packed our things, and I was honestly surprised at how quickly it all went. It was like we were ready to leave in 10 minutes flat. I was so ready for him to leave and for us to take some space. When he finally left, I felt this weight lift off my shoulders, and I knew I was finally free. Edit. After the breakup, I realized he had been using my Netflix account to watch shows with his friends. I found out because they texted me for the password. I didn't reply, but I changed the password and kicked him off. Also, the texts he sent me during the silent treatment were from a group chat he was in with his friends. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.